I remember someone came to me and told me, good luck with your next kid. As if my life is over, my career is over, that life has to pause, as if my kid is a bump and not the entire road. And in that moment, I realized how the world sees caregivers. We're the people who pause. We're the people who quit. We're not leaders. We're not professionals. In fact, as a society, we're conditioned to believe you have to either choose having a career or caregive for someone in your family. You're conditioned to believe it's growth or grief. It's working from office or staying at home, no job. And that's when I did what everyone would do in my position when they first knew my kids' news. I stayed silent. But silence doesn't protect you. In fact, it eats you up from the inside. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. And this is not just about my story. You don't have to have a kid like mine to understand what I go through. This is about life when it hands you a role you didn't audition for. It's about when you go through a divorce. It's about someone who goes through a job loss or redundancy. It's about someone in your family having a really terminal illness. It's about going through hardship, and yet you keep showing up every day. They told me my kid has a rare brain diagnosis. A typical brain looks like a walnut. However, I'm being told now my kid's brain looks as smooth as an apple. No folds, no grooves, no future. Or that's what they told. I was told he would have 3 months. So I waited. Day 1, day 2, day 90. It's gonna happen, right? And I stopped sleeping during that time because all I can think of, it's gonna happen today. It's gonna happen today. Can you imagine having a clock over your kid's head telling you it's gonna happen today? However, we're still here. He's with me today. He's still smiling. He's still fighting. He's still fighting all the odds that we all thought he would never experience. But a countdown doesn't change your future. It changes your present. You no longer have a long term. You have a 24-hour window every day. You stop planning for vacations because you're not sure what's going to happen the next day. You start celebrating all the very tiny things that happen in life because life is so short. You start celebrating the smile that he has. You still celebrate breathing after a seizure attack. You celebrate that he's still with you today. I never expected to be in that position. No one does. You don't go to college and study, I'm gonna care for someone like my kid. In fact, it started being a new parent. One day, I was a new mom, going on Amazon, buying my kid's stroller, buying my kids' toys, reading all the parenting books that I could think of, going to parenting courses online and offline, meeting new moms, trying to learn how this journey would look like for me. And the next day I found myself I'm not just a new mom. I'm a nurse. I'm a physiotherapist. I'm a fierce advocate. And I'm a human in between. It's as if you're thrown into the deep water and you're expected to swim. I had no training. I had no idea even what I was going to happen. But I was expected to show up every day anyway. And so I did. Doctors knew everything about my kid's brain, but they had no idea how to deliver news with empathy. And for years, I stayed silent. But what I did is also COVID happened. And during that time, I noticed everyone's talking about hybrid work all the time, but my life was hybrid all the time. I've been doing it for such a long time that I had no idea why people think it's a new thing in the first place. I've been taking therapies and still doing work calls. I've been medicating my kid and still making sure I send emails in the evening and making sure I meet my deadlines. But no one knew what I was going through. And that's when I realized it's all about the mindset. It's all in here. I was afraid of something that I had no idea whether people would like or not. I was so afraid of people and what they would say that I let it eat me up for such a long time. I waited for the world to change. I waited for people to notice what I was going through, but they didn't. And so I did. I started speaking up, not for sympathy, not for people to feel sorry for me, but for silence was no longer protecting me, nor anyone in my situation. I noticed that there's a lot of parents who are going through the same journey. No one of us is actually speaking up. But also, it's not only about us. It's about everyone who hears our story, because what I notice as well is that people want to help. They don't know how. So when I started sharing, they said oh, so this is what you need. This is how I can help. So I learned it's not only about the mindset. It's learning to ask for help and learning to speak up to people around me. It's learning to own your story with pride and not letting anyone to define your narrative. Not waiting for the world to tell me how my journey needs to look like. And when I started speaking up, I actually learned something very, very beautiful about myself. I'm not a great leader despite being a caregiver. In fact, I'm a great leader and a great professional because I'm a caregiver. I negotiate with insurance companies every day, and I lead with empathy. I have precision to everything that needs to happen because I don't have time for nonsense. I don't have time for politics. In fact, I hold space for everything in between. And in fact, I allow my team to be authentic. I knew how to lead them through vulnerability and how they can be authentic around me as a leader and everyone around them. Now, fun fact, my name is Yosr, right? It means ease in Arabic. However, for the longest time, I used to hate it. It's not a common name you have in both the Arab culture, by the way, nor the foreign one. My life felt far from easy, and I used to question my parents, why would you give me that name? My life is far from easy. But then you realize it's not about life being easy. It's about the softness within the hardship. It's the grace within it. It's the nurse remembering my kid's name when we go back to hospital. It's my iced mocha in the morning before I start my day. It's my kid giving me a smile despite the odds. And I'm here today asking everyone to think about. Embrace your human side. I ran away from a human side for the longest time ever, and I have to tell you, it didn't serve me. In fact, when you embrace your human side, it's the kindest thing you can do for yourself, but for everyone around you as well. Be resilient. Because you can. If my kid can beat the odds despite everything he's going through, if I can beat the odds despite everything I'm going through, so you can. My last ask is, we all are caregivers at some point of our lives. You may already be one like me, caring for someone you love in your life. A parent, a child, a sibling. Sometimes it's someone with a broken leg in your home. You will be one at some point of your life because everyone has an aging parent or relative in their family. You may already have been one at some point of your life, but most importantly, you will need one at some point of your life. So remember that when you see one in your community, in your life, and make sure to remember, as I said, be resilient because you can. Thank you.